Who are you?
I am Phoenixx. I'm an artist, I'm a creative. I'm a helpmate. I'm a servant leader. I'm a family member, I'm a sister. That's who I am.
And you have a creative production company called the Firebird Production.
Yes, I do.
And can you give us a little bit more detail on that?
So Firebird Production is my baby. It's basically just a place for everybody to be seen. I really love giving people exposure and giving people outlets. So it's a place for all people who haven't got a chance to let their light shine, can shine there. Newcomers, one of my shows or my debut show had a lot of just new people, new artists, new creatives, new painters, new photographers, new models. So I like to put people on. That's what Firebird is for.
What inspired you to do that?
I think this is my background. I just grew up with servant leaders my whole entire life, which is about how can you make community better, how can you pour into somebody else. So that's been my background. Like, I was an activist before I came to Howard. And being at Howard, and a poet, and being at Howard, I kind of just meshed the two, my art and my love for creativity and my love for community, and put them together. So I feel like I've always been able to make it happen, and for me, and not everybody has that privilege. So I'd rather be the one to do that for other people, cultivate the spaces for other people to have their way.
What was that experience like holding that your first event last year with Firebird Production?
It was really fun, and that was last year. Like, it's really crazy. I feel like it's been 2 years since the beginning of Firebird, but I started that in January, February of 2022, and it's now the end of 2023. But that experience was humbling, and I don't know, I'm just proud. Every time I think of like me trying to do something else and how overwhelming or impossible it may seem, I think back to that. Like, that was just based off of networking and making it happen. Like, I pulled stuff out of nothing, outfits out of nothing, super, like, a lot of malfunction on the day of, and the show still was phenomenal. People afterwards saying like this was the most beautiful show or experience that I've been a part of. So definitely very humbling, but also uplifting for myself just to know that I could do something like that. It was a lot of people walking in, and it's a lot of traffic in. It was a whole bunch of different faces and different stories and different reasons why they were there. And I was just so happy to be able to bring that many people together, and they all leave with an experience, all leave like loving what they saw. That was very empowering for me.
And to have your work, or to have ideas and your work come into fruition, like maybe even months later, just like you said, the show that you just put on, would you say that has inspired you more to drive forward and really push your production company into like the stratosphere, pretty much, to see how far it can go?
Definitely. It's definitely made me want to do more, but it's also made me want to look within myself. I feel like the work I do is so people driven that I could be lost in it. So I definitely took a break. Like, I kind of been a little bit of hiatus when it comes to community-based things, just because I'm trying to figure out like, where's my voice in all this? So I think it's pushed me to find myself more, because I've been looking at everybody's creativity and like uplifting everybody else's, and so in all with what everybody else is doing, it's like, Fifi, where you at? Like, what can you really add besides putting it together? And kind of just inspired me to dig more within myself. So that, but also I see this being so big, which is why I'm able to take hiatus, which is why I'm able to take a break for these couple months or these 6 months, because where I see this in 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, like, yeah, definitely pushing, and I'm excited to see what I do.
Do you ever get like imposter syndrome, being a Howard student and just being a Black creative in the scene?
Child, bad. Which is why I was like, let me look at myself, because I was in these spaces and everybody was like, I'm around after Unity 2, I was in a lot of people's faces more. So I'm being invited to rooms that I didn't think I was qualified for. Like I just did a panel and I was so nervous. Like I was shaking as I walked into the room, shaking as I'm walking around trying to find my comfort. And it's like, girl, you've done so much. People are reaching out to you. Like, come on now, show your big one. But Howard is such a, like, it's so many people that's doing their big one every day. You can easily be like, wake up, look on your phone, look on Instagram, and be like, okay, I'm not doing enough, easily. But I had to go like soul searching so I wouldn't let that take over me. Yeah, take me over, yeah.
Do you feel like what you're doing now is kind of like fighting back against that imposter syndrome?
Definitely. I think that's a good question. Okay, let me gather my thoughts. I think, okay, like I said, so you can get lost in it, right? I feel like I got lost in it. But I feel like I'm also counteracting that, me getting lost, me leaning into community more. It's more so just leading by example. I feel like one thing I'm really good at is when I'm uncomfortable, I kind of lean into the uncomfortability and try to figure out a solution, figure out a way. So I feel like in me doing this, me making these practices and doing what I do, I'm definitely fighting against it, but I'm more so fighting through it, for sure.
Do you always feel like you were always set in a creative space?
Yeah, because I think creativity is a lifestyle. It's more than just art. Creativity is resourcefulness. Creativity is, like I said, making something out of nothing. So with my outfits, I think, or creativity is like expression as well. With my outfits, I've always been like expressive. With the way I think, I've always like outside of the box. Even when it's something practical, even when it's something technical or academic, I feel like I've always had a creative approach to how can I get this done. So yeah, I've always been that. Like I said, I was a poet as well for a long time, and I kind of still am. So it's been in me, for sure.
And what do the next few months or even a year look like for you now?
I've been Miss Independent pretty much my whole entire conscious life. So I think this next months, I'm jump back into finding a place and things that are already established. I feel like for me, it's easier to make my own way instead of joining a crowd or joining a group. So now I want to get back to joining groups and doing collaborations and working under rules and jurisdictions that are already made. Just because I feel like I'm getting too lax in creating my own flow, and that's just really not real. So yeah, I just want to get back in the groove of society. I kind of just been on my own wave for a minute now, just doing what I want to do, making rules when I want to make them, making organizations however I want to make them, making companies how I want to. So just trying to find my groove in the world that's already flowing is my next steps. And I think that's good for me because I just need to ground myself in the world. And I think a lot of my work is based on the world. So like, why am I leaving? Like, why am I in my own area? Why am I in my own space? So yeah, just figuring out what everybody does and getting hip to that, and maybe working in corporate. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. But hey, I think I'm gonna do that. So yeah.
And one more question I want to ask you. This is more just to get a perspective, but when we were at the Burn 2 premiere, a lady came up to me and she was pretty much saying like, when Howard students first come to Howard, it seems like they break out of their shell.
Ooh.
And from that shell, they blossom, they grow, and they get really like deep into the things that they said that they wanted to do. Like whether it be art, creativity, business, anything. Like we really have that go-get mentality.
Oh God.
Do you attribute Howard to that go-get mentality that you have now?
Got to, bruh. Being on Howard's, like being a student at Howard, my God. And I say that with a straight face. My God, like, that imposter syndrome is a big one, but you gotta know who you are. Howard makes you know who you are. Like, you have to. So I think that, yeah, Howard definitely, I always been a hustler though, I ain't gonna lie to you. Before Howard, I had my things, I had my orgs, I had my establishments and all that. But, which many of us, that's how we got here. But Howard just makes you wake up and be like, okay, what's next every day? Just because you go to class and your classmate is doing 12 things and they're all big things. Your classmate is in Vogue. Yes, that's gonna happen. Your classmate walked DC. Yes, they did. Like, big things DC Fashion Week, I didn't elaborate. But yeah, it's big things all around. So yeah, definitely attribute Howard to, and my mama, shout out to her and my daddy, to how I get it.
Where you from?
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, by way of Kansas City, Missouri.
Do you feel like your hometown, your city inspires you in any way?
Dead serious. I always say Nashville is where I got my hospitality from. This was where I love community in Nashville. Like, I just remember just the neighborhood I grew up in was just family. My neighbors was my family. And I always try to just achieve that everywhere. Just like, how can I create family? I can create community. But Kansas City is that real hustle. Like, people get stuck in KC all the time. But people also get out of KC. So, yeah, definitely.
And what I want to ask you right now is, you don't have to have everything planned out, of course. Like, this is just a grand scheme, big plan. 5, 10, maybe even, you can say after graduation, what does life look like for you, or what do you want it to look like?
I like that question. After this, I'm gonna be doing a whole lot of gather and apply. So right now y'all can see my locks peeking out. But I'm on my little, I wasn't spiritual, but I'm on my real spiritual journey, like soul searching. And what I see out of this is me doing everything I said I'm gonna do. 20 years, I wanna be big as Virgil, RIP. 2 years, or after graduation, 2 years, I want to have some type of name in like the fashion. Like, I'm good at something, you know what I mean? I want people to be like, Phoenixx, this is the girl. And it don't have to be loud. It can be low key with all the behind the runway, behind the scenes people. But I want to have like my name is starting to bud. 5 years, I have my own entrepreneur paid a fee. I want that to be big.